Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. The Preservation Board is now in order. I will call the roll to establish a quorum. Commissioner Richardson, are you here? Here. Commissioner Colina, are you here? Here. Commissioner Schmidt, are you here? Here. Commissioner Wright, are you here? Here. There are commissioners I missed. There are 5 commissioners present, constituting the quorum of this body. It's a good thing, as it turns out. Commissioners, has anybody read the minutes for July 28th and August 25th?
Just read the August 25th one.
Do you have a motion regarding the meeting, the minutes from the August 25th?
I do that we approve those.
Is there a second? Second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, those will be our minutes. July 28th, anybody read them? Didn't you talk about them last week?
Probably. There were 2 that we
Okay, then we will put those aside, and we will deal with the minutes from July 28th at a different time. Commissioners, we have no preliminary reviews or first considerations of projects. We have only appeals denial. So we will constitute ourselves as that body that hears appeals denial and begin with 2124 Victor Street. And to build a record, let's collect all your documents and swear you in.
Andre Hagan, Truth. Record 44689, 465, Norris, and 675. My agenda and this is changing configuration of plate tiles is not part of the detail of the plate, shaped plate. Sort of a point with a curve. Raise the curve at the top. Apply there is change from the distinctive plate tiles to several rectangular plates would be significant alterations. The plate shingles is a character defining element of the historic building, and its arch pattern is consistent with the arched dormer roofs and the usual arcade detail. To display of this configuration will be available from roofing contractor or someone who specializes in plate specified. Context that you can side effects, there's a great deal of shape and plate on this. I also have a letter from Fish Park Association saying that they are recommend that the Conservation Board hold the director's denial of the application classified as
Commissioners, questions? Matt Kessler? Are you representing the appellant?
Yes, ma'am. Or yes, sir.
Is the appellant present?
No.
Okay, so tell us your name,
Matt Kettner, with MLK Construction,
your address,
8537 Gilmore Avenue.
and is your testimony going to be the truth?
Yes.
State your appeal.
I agree with almost everything said. In this, my main point would be that it is not cost productive to do this. If money was no object, this would not be a big deal. If everybody had $100,000 to throw into 400 square feet of the front part of their building, this would be no big deal. There's woodwork to be done that has to be matched to the original woodwork that will have to be milled once it's taken down. That is extensive beyond that we can't guess. Right now, we're thinking maybe $10,000, $15,000 worth of woodwork. We know we have to replace the slate. Per your ordinance 67175, if it was a rectangular slate, you would allow them to go back with a GAF slate line shingle. Asphalt-based shingle hasn't been around 20 years. In my opinion, I've seen them all over the city. They fail after 5-10 years. They do not represent slate whatsoever. This is an asphalt-based product because this slate is scalloped in design and manner. It requires us to hand cut them all. And when we hand cut these slates, we break potentially 3 to 4 slates each time we hand cut them with these. Slate takes 6 to 8 weeks to get. If we go with the smaller design, not this 18 by 12, if we go with the 9 by 12, those slates would be the harder to get as far as they'd be 8 to 12 weeks out. And if we break more than potential that we estimated, 50%, 100% potential that we break, we would have to order it again, and then this project could take 12 months versus us going up here and replacing this slate, ordering the slate once, having a 6-week turnaround on the slate, being able to do the woodwork, getting it all milled exactly to the original standards as it was, and doing it for a customer around $20,000. If we go back with this, we're more than doubling that amount. And I think that is unfair for St. Louis City or Benton Park to ask of homeowners. I mean, business owners is a little bit different because they can write it off. Homeowners can't. That's $40,000. I potentially make more money doing it this way. So, I mean, I'm simply appealing for the homeowners to ask. It's not cost productive to do this.
Bring evidence of financial hardship on their part?
No, I think that would be, the slate can be essentially the same, it's just the man hours involved. I can come back next month and do a demonstration and show you that we're going to break, numerous slates before we come up with one slate that's good. If we want to use that for determination, but basically all these slates have to go to our shop, and then we have to hand cut them at our shop. Then we have to transfer them back to the job site, break them up, hopefully we don't break any in the process of installing them, and we have enough. Finish the job. So there's no, besides calculating man hours and putting that on paperwork, there's nothing different as far as the cost of material versus rectangular shape, turning around except for man hours.
Commissioner's question?
Is salvaging the slate there an option?
No, it's some of it's been hail damaged. We pulled off about 4 or 5 slates. If you notice in that picture, they've fallen down. We pulled them off, and we actually attempted, before we submitted our prices and bids, we attempted to replicate this slate to that exact design, and we broke half a pallet, which is going to be about 200 slates to get 20.
Chiseling method?
You have to hand chisel each one. There are quicker methods of using a shear that you attach to the end of a drill that gives it the hand cut look, but it doesn't work really on the curved designs. It only works on the straight cut.
They're not using lasers on these things.
No, they're not using lasers. Otherwise, there would be a synthetic slate that would look like it, that would imitate it. They make synthetic slate, but if you notice, most of synthetic slate is only square or at an angle like a diamond pattern because it costs too much for them to set up the die to cut it with the laser to give it that, hand-cut look. And what we're going with is the hand-cut look. I can cut this with a tile saw or wet saw and give it the scallop design. But in my opinion, that takes more of the historic appearance out of it than, replacing it with rectangular slate.
So the reason why you're going with the square is in part because, let me ask this first. How many of these slate are bad?
All of them are essentially bad. Slate, S1 grade, there's 3 types of slate, S1, S2, S3. S1 is what we're assuming this is, and S1's 110-year slate. This is over 100 years old. It's had hail damage. The right elevation has been partially paid for hail damage. They did not pay for scallop. They did not pay for hand cut. They paid like, kind, and quality. What insurance considers like, kind, and quality is S1 grade slate and the same size and the same color. As far as the cut, they don't consider that like, kind, and quality. Unfortunately on this one. And then it's 2 years past the point, so I can't even go back to the insurance company and negotiate this because I think 3 other contractors came in before us and were awarded the job. And between either, I don't know if they tried pulling permits or whatever, but they backed out. So I think we're the last straw for the homeowner trying to get this replaced. They've been trying for 2 years.
Sure, any questions? Sorry.
Are you replacing the entire roof or just half of it?
Entire roof, 21, 24 to 21, 26.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Okay.
Did you guys look at the diamond idea? Can you do that?
We can. That hasn't been addressed. I mean, we could even go with a traditional scallop, which is the half design.
Yeah.
And that's going to be an easier design than this, and we're going to break less. But then if you're going to go with that, then why wouldn't you say we could go with a asphalt-based scallop shingle? But that doesn't, in my opinion, that's less historic than going back with real slate. I mean, we're doing some upgrades to this. This doesn't have any copper flashing. It has no flashing at all. We're putting some copper flashing in this. Everything, all the metalwork on it is galvanized. All the galvanized metal is rusted. We're replacing it, and we're replacing this in a manner that they can go back and do repairs without having to replace the whole slate and answer again. If we can come up with personally, I would want to go back with the regular slate if we can. If we can come up with a median where we salvage all the slate up there and try to put in a row or two of these scallops to give you that design. Something. It's just, as a homeowner, I would imagine it would be a hard pill to swallow to say, okay, it's going to cost you $40,000 because you live in Bent Park. And you have a very unique cut slate that nobody is really skilled in like they're used to.
the insurance proceeds, do you know how much the homeowners have received in insurance proceeds to replace the roof?
The 21, the left elevation is the 21, 24 side, which is, they only got paid to paint the slate. So the left elevation only got paid to paint the slate. The right elevation got paid like $2,000, $3,000 to replace it. And the insurance claim is so old that it's a moot point because after 1 year or 2 years of the effective date of the claim, you can't go back and negotiate it anymore. So the other contractors before us kind of dropped the ball on it, and nobody came that I'm aware of to you guys before and addressed any issues, and then gone back to the insurance company and renegotiated.
So tell me, what's the price differential between doing what's there now as opposed to what you're proposing?
The original... just to replace the slate in Vermont Black 18 by 12 rectangular standard slate, $8,900. That's slate just by itself. To go back with the custom design, $17,940. That's before we're adding in the woodwork, masonry, copper flashing, painting, and all the metalwork. And a lot of this is basically a blank check because a lot of it's just time and material. We don't know until we get up there and go. If you look at it, you'll see the whole right elevation is sunk, and it's been patched numerous times.
Okay, but what was the $40,000 number around that?
When we get done, if you charge $20,000 just for the plate, you've got more woodwork and brickwork and copper flashing and painting in there than slate involved. So I'm looking at whatever you have in your slate numbers is what it's going to cost in your woodwork. Because the mill to wood's going to cost $10 to $14 per linear foot.
Isn't it the same if you use the rectangular slate as opposed to the scallop slate?
As far as the woodwork?
Yeah.
Yeah, the woodwork's always going to be the same.
Okay, so
But that amount is unknown.
Okay, but for the shingle, our choices are 8 or 9, you said?
Oh yeah, you're looking $9,000 or $18,000. So it doubles right there. But then it limits. So if we go to the $18,000 option, now the homeowners can't make the upgrades they were going to make. Copper counter flashing, painting. You know, they might not be able to do all the woodwork, dental work, things of that nature. And a lot of these things have to coincide to be done together.
Well, to support that latter statement, normally we would have evidence of what their finances are, and then again that they really couldn't do that other work. Because really, what you testify to now is it's $9,000 for rectangular, it's $18,000 for scallops, and the other work is that's an independent consideration, and we don't have evidence as to whether they have the wherewithal. No one wants to spend money on items like these, but
yeah. I don't have their financial statements, and I couldn't tell you that, they're able to spend, $20,000 on 350 square feet of slate.
they're not here, correct?
No.
Other questions, Commissioners? Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, is there a motion?
Further question, I have to recuse myself. Friends with them.
I move that we uphold the director's denial of slate to not comply with the Benton Park District standard.
Commissioner Richardson has made a motion, is there a second? Commissioner Wright. Discussion?
Maybe legal counsel. So, when there's the excerpt from ordinance, it talks about patterns, number 3, patterns on enhanced roofs, I think that's,
Yes.
and it talks about configurations shall not be altered by subtraction, addition, or shingles. So is that what we're talking about?
Yes. Yeah, the alteration to the roof configuration by changing the shape.
Discussion? Hearing none. Commissioners, you're going to vote on this. I'm going to call your name and you will tell me yes or no. Commissioner Robinson, yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson, yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt, yes or no? Commissioner Johnson, yes or no?
Abstain.
Commissioner Wright, yes or no?
Yes.
4 yeses. No nays. 1 abstention. 1 recusal. 2 absences. The motion carries. Commissioners, we're going to call 2325 Ann Avenue.
Right, Bob Bettis, all truth. You can enter in the ordinances, 4689, yes, what's that? That's right, 64689, 67901, PowerPoint, my petition. Okay, we have is a issue with a violation of replaced windows without a permit over in McKinley Heights. Got a call for a violation late July. Went out and noticed that 9 windows were replaced recently, 3 up top, 6 up top, and then the 3 down below. Got hold of the owner, application was sent, said that he had replaced the windows for the past year, 2 years or so, no real time was given, as the window replaced, but he did not get a permit for the work. So he denied the permit for vinyl windows. We'll go through that in a second as to why they're denied. You wish to appeal if it's applied. Okay, again, it's the building. Here's the location, just to the west of Jefferson, north of Ann. Have it in context, your standard block in the Heights. Again, this is the building in question to the left. There are 2 existing historic buildings left of the building. They're on the first floor on the bottom unit. That shows that this had a typical 3/1 configuration. They've all been covered at one point in time with storms. So kind of lose that aspect. This is a clip shot of what's there now. It's your standard vinyl window, very flat appearance. Things been wrapped, but you know the vinyl windows offers a very flat appearance. Doesn't give that depth. Obviously, for not 3/1 that was there historically. This is a shot from Google Maps from 2011 showing what was there before. At that time, they were all the 3/1s, except the one that's missing on that bottom. But you can see usual configuration of the 3/1. So, in the standard, kind of high windows, front facade. Windows have to be the right kind of material. Again, we had wood, and now vinyl. Need a match configuration. You have 3/1, now 1/1. To match depth, holding like that. So you can lose that depth. And it's a very simple building. A lot of the expression through the window. When you lose that 3/1 appearance of the administration, you lose in the character of the building. So it's kind of an important element that you can maintain that correct fenestration pattern. We do have a letter of support for the staff recommendation from McKinley Heights. What Margarita period made as well. Again, their staff, they are in support of staff recommendation. So again, final windows, no permits pulled. Recommend that the board uphold the inspection of the application as the ones do not comply with the Heights Historic District standards.
Questions, Commissioners? Okay, Mr. Pitts.
I'm going to give Johnson information first. He said hard of hearing, so if you could speak loud, you'd appreciate that.
Like Bob was saying, I got a problem with my hearing, so.
Well, we're gonna build a record.
What's that?
We're gonna build a record. So tell me your name,
Jim Pitts,
your address,
My house address,
Yes, please.
10718 East Grandview Drive in St. Louis County.
Is your testimony going to be the truth?
Yes.
Okay, proceed, sir.
Well, what I'm saying is, when I installed these windows, I didn't realize my building was in a historical area. I know ignorance is no excuse of the law, but I didn't know this. And I've installed them over a period of 3 years, 2011, 2012, 2013. And like I said, when I installed these windows, I installed them when I could save up enough money to do so. In this building, as of right now, I've had second floor east has been vacant for 10 years. I know it sounds stupid. I own rental property and it's been spent for 10 years, but that's the truth. First floor east has been vacant for 2 years. Now, I got 2 tenants on the west side. That's the only income coming in on this building. Over the last 3-4 years, I've suffered a loss on this building every year, which I just gave her. I'll give you copies of my tax forms to show you that I've had loss on this property. These are a good quality vinyl replacement window, and they look similar to many other windows that's in the area. Even though they're made out of vinyl, but other than going up and touching them, you can't really tell they're not wood from the street. I would like to have a variance and be allowed to retain these windows if possible, because truthfully I can't afford to change them. I've looked into Pella, and Pella would cost me $5,000 to $6,000 to replace these windows. Anderson, they won't sell them directly to me. They said they would sell them to composite if they install them, but they wouldn't just directly sell them to me. Genwell is also in the same price range. It's just money that I don't have to do it this time. And on the building, like I said, I'm on Social Security. I had to go back and work part-time to supplement, just to pay my normal household expenses. Trying to tell you how much. Like I said, in the year 2012, I lost $4,503 on the property. In the year 2000, no, that was 2000. Wait a minute. The other year I lost $2,050, I believe that's what it says on the paper. So all I can say is throw myself on your mercy and ask if I can retain these windows that's been in place for 3 years. I did everything I can. I've owned the building since 1989. I've only tried to improve the building, and it is one of the nicer looking buildings on the block. I do all my own work. And I've got the tenants that I have in the building are long-term tenants. They stay with me because I do take care of their apartments. But other than that, I just asked if I can retain these windows. And if anybody on this board has went around the neighborhood, you'll see that my windows are similar. If you went in a 3 or 4 block radius, they're similar in look and appearance to any other window in the area that's been replaced. And there's pictures of the windows that I just gave her too, close-up of them. So, other than that, I'd just like to be able to retain the windows.
Commissioners, questions?
What motivated you to replace the windows? I mean,
Excuse me?
Sorry. What motivated you to replace the windows?
Well, what motivated me was because they're old wooden windows and they're rotted. And if you look at the center window in the common hallway, then wooden strips have rotted off of them windows from the weather over the years. And they were just getting through the parts, so the wind would blow and they would rattle. It was impossible to insulate them to where you could use them, physically use them. And that's what motivated me too, and I just I thought I would add into the appearance of the building.
But, so have you leased up those units yet?
What's that?
Have you leased up the 2 empty units?
Have I leased them? No. second floor east, I'm still working on it, cabinetry, flooring. I just, like I said, over the last 10 years, I just haven't had the money to do it. I had tenants that used to be on the first floor that wasn't paying their rent. I had to evict them out. My second floor tenant on the west, he's been with me a long time. He's currently 1 month delinquent in his rent. First floor tenant, she pays on time. But my rental on that property, right now I'm bringing in $880 a month, which barely covers real estate taxes, insurance, and my normal maintenance and wear and tear items on the building. Like I said, I've done everything possible I can for that building. And like I said, I can't afford to hire people to do it, but like I said, there's no money coming in on the building to do so.
Commissioners, further questions?
Is this the only investment property that you have?
I had another rental property over on Chippewa Street, and I recently sold that because it was the same reason I couldn't afford to maintain it.
What was that address?
3420 Chippewa. And I recently sold it to these people that buy ugly houses, and they more or less just stole it from me. Because I was at a point where I couldn't afford to keep the building no longer. And I'm hoping that I can keep it to supplement my income, because I'm working a part-time job now just to supplement my income from Social Security. If I get the other 2 units rented, then I hopefully be able to supplement my income to where I actually make a little profit on the building, but right now I'm making nothing.
When you said they stole it from you, how much did they...
Excuse me?
When you said they stole it from you, how much did they buy it?
$18,000. And I used that to pay off some mortgages and some loans that I had. And at that time, the reason I sold that building mainly was because I had one tenant in the building, second floor was vacant, and the tenant was $5,000 delinquent on her rent. But I couldn't afford to evict her out because I would end up with a total vacant building, which would be vandalized because of the area that it's in. So, like I said, I've only got the one rental property now, which is 2335 Ann. And had I to do it all over again, I never would take out the wooden windows. But like I said, I didn't realize I was doing anything wrong. So the only thing I can do is throw myself on to mercy.
Alderman Reed, any further questions? Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Mark? Oh, good. There are many...
Very good.
There are many...
I could read that brother now.
Okay, Mr. Reed, tell us your name.
Mark Reed,
Your address.
2052 Russell.
Is your testimony going to be the truth?
It will be.
What is your testimony?
First, I'd like to have some clarification. Did Mr. Fitz say that he had not had one of the units rented for 10 years?
Yes, sir.
Okay. As I stated in the letter that I presented for the record, this particular street in our neighborhood was one that was heretofore predominantly dominated by absentee landlords or, at the very least, owners that really didn't care about their property. Fortunately, that status quo has changed because we have a group of young people that have moved into the neighborhood, have taken great civic pride in living in the community. They have cleaned up a lot of the problems, and they have also begun renovating houses on that block. This is all part of the positive and upward trajectory that McKinley Heights has been on for the last several years. And I will agree with Mr. Fitz that, yes, there are a lot of windows that are vinyl in our neighborhood, but all of those were put in prior to the establishment of our historic code. It would be great if we could somehow make those disappear, but we can't. Hopefully over time they will. I have to question anybody who has rental property that allows an apartment to stand for 10 years, and typically that is because it is so in such disrepair that it's uninhabitable. I've owned rental property, and I know what it is to struggle to get money together to do the necessary repairs, but I think if Mr. Fitz had been more attuned to the neighborhood instead of just what he can get out of the building, he would have come to some of the neighborhood meetings, and he would know beforehand that he had to get approval with the historic cultural resources before replacing windows. There have been multiple community meetings that have talked about the code. It's been in existence now for over 5 years, so it's anybody who owns a property in this neighborhood and doesn't know about it doesn't visit the neighborhood very often. All I can say is that McKinley Heights has been working very hard to get to where they are now. We have many of our houses have been restored. There's a developer that lives on Shenandoah, which is just a couple blocks from this street, who is in the process of buying property and renovating. So I would suggest if you want to sell your property, if you can't maintain it, then I think that's the time to get rid of it. And it would do the neighborhood a great deal of good to get somebody in there who would take care of the property properly, who would replace the windows as they're supposed to be. And that's all I have to say. Do you have any questions for me?
Questions for the witness? Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, a motion?
Move that the Preservation Board uphold the director's denial of installed vinyl homes do not comply with the McKinley Heights District standards.
Richardson, motion? Oh, good, thank you. Motion made second. Discussion?
I would start with, again, I appreciate the testimony from the neighborhood. And again, a bunch of us were around here when they created this historic district, and they worked hard for it. It's one of our newest historic districts, and I think there was a lot of public outreach, so people were aware that their property was going to be in a historic district. And so if you'd owned the property for that long, you should have known that the district was created. There was some evidence to support hardship, but if you look at the tax returns, the reason that there's a loss is one of the line items is depreciation, which isn't really an expense, that's a tax benefit. So if you back out depreciation, it's pretty much a break even. And again, if he could rent the other units or make the repairs necessary, it would be a profitable project. So this isn't a loser of a project or a hardship because the ability to get rents isn't there. It's because he hasn't rented those out and invested. And so I think we need to uphold the director's denial.
Further comments? Okay.
I agree with that.
Commissioners, if a motion made and seconded, we will call the roll and comment if you agree or disagree. Commissioner Robinson?
Thanks.
Commissioner Richardson, yes or no?
Yes.
Mr. Colleen, yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt, yes or no?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson, yes or no?
Yes.
Mr. White, yes or no?
Yes.
That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yeses, 1 absent, 1 abstain, no nays. So staff, recommendation is upheld. We're going to take a 2-minute break.
Okay, because we made you do this, we won't be. So we got some. And we have.
Oh, the people here. There you go.
We're good. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, believe me, I'm not. Sit on it. I haven't got that, but I did get my 4-day outfit.
What's up? I said he did. Yeah, sure. I'm on
Get them all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the girl was born.
Westminster Place.
Okay, again, Latrue, entering in 64689, 69112, PowerPoint, presentation on the agenda.
Okay.
And to us then, it's kind of a unique situation. The applicant is proposing to place portions of the porch. We're looking at replacing balustrade, balusters and handrail, as well as the column, as well as the beams with the cross. The beam is deflecting, it's really damaged, it needs to come down. No question about that service. Placing the porch, it's in really bad shape. The lower portion of the porch is all like cast concrete. It's not original, it's older, not sure when it was put in, but it's in really bad shape. And we'll go in, this is all cast concrete down below here. So the posts that support the columns, the base that support the columns, and all the balustrades, all cast concrete. We're at, this is the east lake. Look the shot of the balustrade. Pretty typical what we saw. Jan and I went out and actually met with Bill Riggs, the contractor, kind of looking over. We were to make sure that these things cannot be salvaged and consolidated to from the front. They're all in really bad shape, and they really can't be saved out of those. So what we agreed to was, since the balustrade is not original, we would approve a composite system for the balustrade and the handrail. And on the right, well, to the right is what will be going in. Although not exact what was there originally, or replacement of the non-support porch, it's close. So we agreed that it's not original, this would be appropriate for the balustrade. And here's kind of showing what it'll look like. And keep in mind, the stay is the base will be staying below the bottom, but and the handrail portion of it is pretty close. It's not as bulky as what's there now, but it's again, it's an existing porch, showing overall what's going on. Next issue, and why we're here, are the columns. Columns appear to be original, for the most part. I mean, they may have been longer times, whatever, but this is the issue why we're here now. They want to replace columns with the fiberglass Vycon replacement. Staff feels that after inspecting them, they appear to be sound. That includes the capitals. There is some deterioration on some capitals, but overall, we felt they were sound. They may have other evidence today to show otherwise. On inspection, we both agree that they appear to be sound. We said that we would prefer you keep capitals and the column place as opposed to doing it Vycon. Standards require that going to replace something that cannot be salvaged, you need to replicate exactly. So total was to replace the cap at the top with what's down below. Now Bill actually brought an example of it today. There are, from initial glance it may look close, but there are definitely some differences. Bill, can you break that out just real quick? Since the photo's kind of washed out. This is the replacement. Unfortunately, there are some additional things, the rosette that's on there that's not on the original column. Yeah, there's some depth. The spiral portions of it have more definition. The original do not. So there's a difference to it. And that does not meet the standards.
I mean, it's not just the head and bringing it down. The whole gap, so that's really
well, they can replicate this portion here. They can replicate that. That can be replicated.
That will be.
That can be done. But again, though, the overall issue is that it's not the right material, and also the capital would not be replicated at all. Even if you add the neck banding on it, it's still not the right material, and hence it won't be exactly the same dimensions. Those are historical. So looking at standards, again, what it says is that you prefer sure you can't repair it, and you can't, then it doesn't match exactly. The dimensions on there, Bill said that it's actually incorrect. The dimensions are closer to the physical on here. That's true. The dimensions are closer to the original. Originally, we thought it was a much smaller unit, but apparently the listed dimensions are not correct on here. So the overall scale is actually closer to the original. So that was the issue we had originally. Just so you know, this is up the block. This is what the proposed balustrade will look like a few houses away. So to show that from the street, it is pretty comparable. We do have a letter of support, and also might hear what then letter of support for staff recommendation regarding the column. So again, just going back through it again. But it requires that when you replace elements that need to be maintained, if not, you must replace exactly in terms of dimensions, details of the original. The columns that we saw appear to be okay. They look pretty sound to us. We understand how you need to come down in order to replace large beams on the cross, but they can be reused to support the new porch. Again, the capitals are contained the raw material. Capitals are not the same. This shows the banding down below. Based on all this, we recommend that the board full denial of petition that proposed alteration of the porch do not comply with standards.
Any questions?
You are assuming you understand. So Dorian, Corinthian, and Ionic.
Doric.
So these are Ionic. That's what I thought. Because it says
Ionic, sorry. Doric, Ionic, you give me all turn off. They're Ionic.
why?
Okay, so Doric are flat.
Right.
Ionic have two rollwork, Corinthian or more floral have a more decorative appearance.
Even more decorative than that?
Absolutely, yes, that's correct. There's no
I thought when I looked at them, I thought that was
beyond
Corinthian, and that's my question.
Remember Dick, you guys,
No, I remember. I just didn't remember the distinction between that.
An exchange between two girls.
So when I read this, it said, replicas shall be made of the same materials as the historic origin portion component. In rare instances, when a persuasive argument is presented, a compatible substitute material may be considered. So
we don't feel that a substitute has been made to replace a future. It is on material as well.
well, it's material, but it's also, you're saying it's different.
It is also not replicate what's exactly there.
This is the same material you're accepting for below. You're accepting this material below.
Right, because the original boundary is gone, so that original material is not there. So we're not replicating down below because that historic feature is gone. So again, and we have no proof that you cannot reuse the capital knowledge in some way.
This is Corinthian.
Further questions, Commissioner? Okay, it looks like we have Harmons and Riggs present. You may arrange your appeal any way you want to. Your name for the record, sir?
Bill Riggs,
Your address?
1729 Janet Place.
Testimony be the truth?
Yes, sir. First off, I have some copies of some additional pictures. Can I pass those out to you?
Those two not.
The first thing I wanted to talk about was that the section that I've written here from the resource office says that the wood columns have been examined, field only need cosmetic maintenance to remain in service. Hopefully some of those pictures will show you that there is some rot, especially on the columns and the bases. We're kind of focused on the caps here at the moment, but it's my feeling that the caps are beyond service as well. Part of the reason for that, and unfortunately there's not going to be a whole lot of proof for you on this, is that the existing porch roof box shutter system, which they are having replaced, and the beam that's there now, and I think on maybe the very last page you'll see the pictures from the inside of the beam are completely twisted, is leaking and damaged extremely bad. So typically and historically when we do this type of work, you'll find that on the top of the cap and the middle and the inside of the column as well, usually down a couple inches, it's completely water rotted out, which I'm assuming these are as well, but I won't know that until we take it down. That being said, it seems to me that planning to reuse these would be a mistake, as well as the columns, which have so much damage, cracked surfaces, bad paint, split, and rot on them as well. So going in the route of replacing them to match exactly with the same materials would be a cost, more costly than I think is what the owners would like to do. The caps themselves would be extremely costly to have custom made and hand turned out of wood. So they do need more than cosmetic work. The new columns also will have the neck mold as the extra detail of the existing picture up on the screen shows. The new ones will. And the new column cap size, as you can see, my corrected has the existing 7 inches tall. The new ones are 7 1/4 tall. It's one of the reasons I brought that with me to show you. Also, the entasis, or the exact size of the column, will match. The existing are 10 inches at the top, 11 inches at the bottom. And the new columns, some of you might know that, new columns like this, there's a permacast column that only comes out a certain size. An 8-foot column is 9 3/8 at the top and 11 5/8 at the bottom. But when cut down to match the exact size of these existing columns are 6'1", then our size with the entasis doesn't match. It's set up for that. Other than that, matching the materials that we're doing on the bottom with the balustrade and having that be a clean look, and the fact that this porch really has to be done structurally or it's going to wind up falling down. So we like to be able to use this material. And if it's a decision of having to match, I think it's going to be costly for the owners to do. At that point, I worry that the porch will deteriorate even further if we're not able to do it the way we're supposed to.
Commissioners?
So is it your testimony that the columns are not structurally sound?
I believe they're not.
Have you tested the paint? I know you said lead paint.
Haven't tested it.
Just assume based on
Stage it off. And then many layers on the existing panel.
Back to the envelope. Cost difference.
To match? I don't have an exact cost.
More cost.
Yes. We have restored, remodeled, and changed existing historic homes like this many times in my business, and to have them replicated a lot more.
Can you cover again the difference in size of the two capsules, this ionic capsule that you intend to put on versus the current ionic capsule?
The existing one is 7 inches tall, and the proposed is 7 1/4.
Okay, so you wanted 7 1/4 tall?
Yes.
That's the only difference?
The existing are 18 inches wide, 18 1/4, and the new is 16 5/8. So there's an inch and 5/8 difference overall.
Thank you very much. Carmen, want to speak? Name, sir, for the record.
Clifton Horner,
And your address.
5149 Westminster Place, St. Louis, Missouri.
Would your testimony be the truth? Simply like to add to the record.
No, I think Bill Riggs has done a great job finding some replacement parts, pieces that mirror almost exactly what's there now. We bought a house a year ago knowing we were going to do a lot of work to it. It was in pretty bad shape for 22 years, not much had been done. And so, honestly, I didn't look at the columns, I only looked at it because I looked at it, that's nice, but then I looked at the porch and went, that's going to be a problem. So, we have other projects on the line too, besides this gutter project that we've gotten quotes upwards of $80,000. We have, park pointing, we got to do down to the entire house probably, so that's another project. So, if I get too cost prohibitive on one area, I'm not going to be able to do another area. And we want to make the house nice. We love living over here, but if it just kills us, we can't do all the projects. The option is you're just going to do anything for the time being until I save up money and do more. The other part of it, I like all the porch being the same material. The bottom is composite, the top's composite. I think it gives a big, crisp look. So I think that would look nice too. And that's what I want. I want the appearance of the house to look, when you walk by my house one day, I want you to look at it and go, wow, this is gorgeous. Somebody's done a nice job on this porch in front of the house. We're not there yet, but give me a year or two more, so.
It may well be, we consider a variance. The reason for the variance would likely be financial hardship. Do you have any testimony that you'd like to give in that regard?
I don't have any with me at the time. I have 2 kids in college, which is quite a thing. I work 2 jobs, and my wife's a school teacher. So, and I do most of my work myself, except when I see a porch that's about to fall down, and I go, I'm not really interested in doing that. I'm going to hire a professional. So I know you got variance also, so it's a argument. That's all I'm trying to do here.
Questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Bill, you're up.
My name is William Seibert.
This is your worst signature ever.
Okay. 54 Waterman Place in the city of St. Louis.
Is your testimony going to be the truth?
It is.
Thank you, sir.
And apologize for the misidentification of the capital order. It is a modified ionic capital.
Modified ionic.
Yeah, it's not a straight ionic capital.
And for the signature.
Okay, that's it.
Here's my
Okay. And I'm here representing the Central West End Association Planning and Development Committee. The committee respectfully requests that the Preservation Board uphold the Cultural Resources Office Director's denial of the applicant's plan to replace the historic wood columns, the front porch at 5149 Westminster Place. Central West End Historic District standards require that, quote, original or historically significant architectural features shall be maintained and repaired rather than replaced, and original or historic porches, verandas, and balconies, including their component elements such as columns, shall be preserved through in-kind repair and maintenance. It is the committee's opinion, and he asked Ralph Wafer, an architect on our committee, to also weigh in on this, that the columns of this porch with their ornate ionic capitals, modified ionic capitals, are character-defining features of the building and are in sound condition and fully susceptible of preservation through repair. Furthermore, the proposed replacement columns do not replicate the originals in detail, size, proportion, profile, but I understand they do, according to testimony, in facets, right? They will have. That's good. As the Historic District standards require. In the interest of preserving the architectural integrity of the Central West End Historic District, your support in sustaining the Cultural Resources Office staff recommendation and the Director's denial of the applicant's appeal in this matter, we greatly appreciate it. Based on the testimony I've just heard, I think it would be interesting to know exactly what a replication cost would be. I do know from personal experience that there are a number of firms that do replicate exactly. Schwerd in Pennsylvania is one of them. And compare that to the cost of having a skilled carpenter repair these columns, removing the rotted portions, if there are any, in the column shaft, and of course, replacing the base is easy. It's done all the time because that area is one that really deteriorates a lot. I would request that perhaps the decision could be delayed until the capitals come down and they can be actually looked at to see if they are in fact not susceptible of repair. Thank you.
Mr. you have any questions? I'm not, you have a question?
Did you have the benefit of the exhibit that was presented to us on the current conditions?
No.
Okay.
Here's an extra copy. Thank you.
Well, I don't know if it's fair to do that. I just want to make sure he's got this.
Is there a motion?
Can I ask that question? So your finding was the wood columns have been examined in the field and need only cosmetic maintenance to remain in service. Mr. Riggs' testimony was that they're not sound. So, right, so are we still, with his pictures and stuff, are we still of the opinion that they're sound?
We are.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir. I move that the Preservation Board table this issue until more information can be presented concerning the condition of the existing columns and capitals, and that relative cost information can be provided concerning the different options.
Second.
Attorney, can we table or staff and I?
Well, yeah, we do have a time frame, so unless, the applicant wanted to waive or wanted to request that, they have the opportunity.
There is a motion on the floor to postpone a decision on this until after the commission comes. For us to delay such a decision would require otherwise, when you have the right to a decision, right?
My concern with delaying the decision is what happens to Mr. Riggs in there, staff, and lot. The pictures I've seen, it looks pretty bad. And my concern is that we're going to hit winter pretty soon. I've got to I had icicles down the front porch of my nursery. So if the columns are completely shot, then we have to do something. And if I have to go with the brand new replica, it may be a year before I can do that, or two.
If the applicant's not
I'm going to rule a motion out of order. On the motion and second.
We could do a suggestion. We could approve a permit without the columns on it. In the meantime, you get to work other stuff, term conditions.
What scares me is columns and the columns getting replicated. Sorry, the caps.
Thank you very much. I need a motion on the staff's recommendation. Hold the director's denial or to overturn the director's denial. Commissioner Peterson? I know that Commissioner Robinson promised a chance to make this motion, but I think we're going to
For discussion purposes, I move that the Preservation Board uphold the director's denial because replacement fiberglass caps do not replicate the original and do not comply with the Central West End District.
Okay, for discussion.
Rachel, any motion? Discussion?
Could we ask if Bill is going to commit to
staff saying they're understaffed, so.
I know.
I keep going back to that. Where is me photograph capital pretty rough and replacing above and below. Dimensional differences capital and dimensional differences balustrade. Like comparable.
So I would wonder aloud if there were one year restricted that here and carefully thought out historic ordinance was required, would it not be this one?
Well, isn't this a new ordinance that we just have them redo everything, and so all the words were carefully vetted, and, this isn't an old ordinance that we're trying to apply, this is a brand new ordinance, and Commissioner Ray, I would point out that it says, the replacement element shall replicate the originals in size, dimension, proportion, profile, shape, geometric pattern, color, in the case of column shaft taper. So, they may be getting the column shaft right, so I can't tell, but they're not getting the capitals right. That is a difference in profile, and it says replicas shall be made of the same material, and a replica is pretty much identical. So, again, this is a brand new ordinance they just did, 2 years ago, so, this isn't like we have a gotcha or something.
I feel bad because I laughed because they took so long to finish. Any discussion?
The purpose of my earlier motion was to give the applicant a chance to check this situation out, because we don't know the cost of replicating. That has not been presented to this board. So if it's cost prohibitive and there's rot, then there's a better argument for this replacement material. But without knowing that, this board has a difficult time supporting that replacement material. That's all I'm getting.
And should we act today? Should they proceed with applying for time card?
You asked me if that's what I would do.
No, I'm saying that's that.
Gotcha.
There's a motion on the floor, okay, seconded, hold the director's denial. I'm going to call the roll. Commissioner Wright, yes or no? Commissioner Johnson, yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt, yes or no? Commissioner Colleen, yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson, yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Robinson, yes or no?
No.
There are 5 yeses, 1 no, 2 absences. The director's denial is held. Ayana. $2,400 South 9th Street.
Right.
Temporarily. 4x4.
This is Andre Gagan, based on 9th Street. This is the Wave Building. There is a two-story portion which actually used to point was garden. And then also ice house portion behind that. I need to enter into the record or 4689 or 955 and 2382 which is location, corner of 9th and Barton. As you can see, it picks up a quarter of a block. This is the proposed 9th Street elevation. And as you can see, two things we're really discussing here are the reconstruction of this wall here, which was originally a masonry wall, and the addition of new windows. Detail of proposed addition. The addition does not meet Historic District standards, and that it will not be reconstructed in masonry. And originally, the windows were more square windows. Have been redesigned, so they will closely match Percali to the other windows. This is proposed to be done in corrugated metal, dark gray matte finish. Although it doesn't meet the Historic District standards, we feel that because of the industrial nature of the building, that this is the location of that. This is actually a photo of what the wall originally looked like. And this photo comes to the original height of the office. This is a view from Broadway. We discussed this with the National Park Service. Originally, they had proposed to have windows on this side. They are having windows on the first and second story, but the National Park Service felt that they would like to see this top view of the ice house as it was, not to disrupt that portion, because you can see it somewhat from Broadway, and they are to the north portion of the other side also. These windows in elevation look to be visible, but in reality, they're only, basically this is the only portion you'll be able to see. That's taken up the street. There's only really one angle at all, so they are tucked behind there, even though it's colored facade. They are. Context, South 89th Street. Actually, celebrating for approved application based on the revised design for the loading dock area, addition of final drawings and exterior shows.
You're happy now? Any questions? Yeah.
So we just fought over that column capital in Central West End. I'm just curious why we're allowing all that metal on this.
Well, we did talk to them about reconstructing in masonry. It's at about $12,000 cost, and like they have. I mean, it has great taste. Mainly, partially because these windows, putting these windows here are actually more expensive than inside. But
So this is not in a development plan? Development plan for tax stationery?
I believe my client is going for it.
Think they're going for it?
I don't believe they are.
That's another route. So it just says what it's going to be in the development plan.
I know he's had conversations with the alderman, so, but I don't know the result of that. I don't believe he got any statement at all in that. When the way he's doing the mayor's directive, so he may be no tip or anything like that.
Okay, let's start building a record. Your name, sir?
Joe Clifton.
Your address?
3109 South Grand.
So you have the money to get the trade?
Yes.
Okay.
Neighborhood is not.
Originally, when I designed the project, I had a client come to me a little over a year ago. I originally had the project designed with all the windows in the ice house facing east on an alley, and I thought, hey, nice significant elevation, not a problem. When we submitted it for approval for the historic tax credit, state and federal, the National Park Service came back and said, no, we don't want them there. We want you to put them on the west side. Well, you can have the lower half. Below it, there's a detail brick on the east elevation. You can have windows there because there's two-story buildings along Broadway that will block that view, and we won't notice it. But the height of the building, we're putting basically a five-story building inside the ice house. They wanted to keep the appearance of no windows. So we were able to take the windows on half of it and face them to the west above the garage, primarily because the garage at one time, well, of course I call it garage, was a two-story building on the photograph. So he had no problem, or they had no problem with us putting windows above that portion of the building. We got their approval, submitted for permit, and I am now here. When we made the change, we ended up having to redo the floor plan. Originally, the whole building stacked, 5 floors stacked directly above it, all the units the same, every floor. We actually had to create a 4th and 5th floor with no windows to the east when they were originally to windows. We actually had to flip a stair, or take a stair and make it a straight run stair, flip the hallway from one side of the building to the other, create half the units facing west, and the other 3 units we had to create an interior well that allowed windows into the unit. So they don't have any windows. On the north side of the building, I have 3 2-story units that have light wells basically that light into the unit's 2-story space. So bedrooms are on the lower floor where there's absolutely no windows. Living space is up on the top floor with a patio with a window wall that allows light to get in. So we put some skylights in over light well and that sort of thing in the units where light will be down to the lower level. So by doing that, the change cost the client almost $100,000 with huge structure, with the redesign, the added cost for the stairs, the added structure we had to add in because now the units don't stack, the plumbing doesn't stack in certain instances. So there was some added cost to the project because of the change to accommodate the historic requirements of the tax law. That is why we went to the metal. For one thing, we always had the metal there. I always approach this as never replacing exactly on a historic project, it's doing something new. We are putting units in a place where there used to be a loading dock. We're taking all that down to grade, putting 2-story units in there, or two floors, 3 units on each floor. My approach was that I would not be able to match the brick because it's kind of a different size. I'd never match the color. So it would be something that would stand out anyway, no matter what material I use there. My thought was to go ahead and use a contemporary material and make sure you knew it was an addition as opposed to what it was. So that's it.
The overall project cost.
All inclusive, including lawyer fees, $6.5 million. And architects.
I understand.
This elevation here that shows the garage, or does that already exist, that garage?
Yeah, it's a garage opening. I don't think there's a door there, but it's open.
Okay. Thank you.
Questions on this side of the room? More questions on this side of the room?
Wait, does that'll get approved by?
Yeah.
CHIPO and NPS?
Yeah, they approved it.
And the aldermen in the neighborhood, they chimed in on this?
Yep. They really didn't know if
They know, but they didn't say, yeah.
The neighborhood said that that's a white elephant, and they would be happy to have it. They were not opposing the window opening, recognizing it doesn't comply with their standards.
Motion, Commissioners?
I move that the Preservation Board approve the application based on the revised design for the reconstructed loading dock area and the windows, with the condition that the final drawings and exterior materials are reviewed and approved by the CRO. Second.
Motion, second. Discussion? Call roll.
Are we open for discussion?
Oh, we are.
Yes. I just can't get past this modern law. I don't think it belongs in that neighborhood, so I oppose this.
Okay.
It's
Discussion?
very prominent.
Currently occupied by a white elephant.
Agreed, but I'm just wondering if there could be something that could be appropriate. I understand budget constraints. With all due respect.
We're convinced that there is no redevelopment. I mean, I only mentioned tax rates, that's how everybody remembers it. But part of these things talk about redevelopment plans. Normally, to provide some basis for looking at these things. I mean, I can obviously question whether the neighborhood thought that this building was part of that in the back, the loading area, when they applied this, but it's not.
Discussion?
I agree with the architect. I think it's cool with the metal, and similar to the polarized project on Gravois that the Lawrence Group did at the same time. We had a remains of the building or shell, and they put corrugated. From eating it.
By the way, I didn't question that COVID thing.
You're still stuck with it.
Yeah, I got it.
Commissioners, motion made and seconded. It would, in effect, overturn the director's denial. Yeah. Director's denial as conditioned. Commissioner Schmidt, yes or no on this motion?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson, yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner White, yes or no? Commissioner Colleen, yes or no?
No.
Commissioner Richardson, yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Robinson, yes or no?
Yes.
That is 4 yeses, 1 no, 2 absences, an extra absence. Director's denial is overturned. The project is approved with conditions. Commissioners, have a motion to adjourn.